President Muhammadu Buhari has effected immediate changes to the security architecture with the replacement of the nation's service chiefs. This comes after months of pressure on the government to replace them for poor handling of the country's security challenges. In a statement, Special Advisor to the President on Media, Femi Adesina, said the President accepted the resignation of the former service chiefs and their retirement from service. The new service chiefs are Major General Lucky E.O. Irabo, who replaces General Abayomi Olonishakin as Chief of Defense Staff; Major General Ibrahim Atahiru, who takes over from Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai as Chief of Army Staff; Rear Admiral Zubairu Gambo, now the new Chief of Naval Staff; and Air Vice Marshal Isiaka Oladayo Amo, appointed Chief of Air Staff. President Muhammadu Buhari said the new service chiefs are to be loyal and dedicated in the discharge of their responsibilities. We're now being joined by security expert Mike Ejiofor to discuss the timeliness and relevance of this major reshuffle. You've been in service yourself and you know what it is like to look after the nation's security with so many years of experience before you resigned and retired, so to say. Now, what's your thought about the fact that it took so long before the president finally got to this point, before we even talk about the new people and profile them?
Well, it's the prerogative of Mr. President to appoint, fire. So perhaps that's why it took long. If you recall that a lot of interest groups, including the National Assembly, civil society organizations, Governors Forum, everybody has been calling for the removal of the service chiefs. And like I said in one of our programs here, he's the president they report to. So he is in a position to assess them. And he's the person in the position to assess them. And he has acted when he felt or feels it's right to act.
Right. But you know, there's this conversation about if they were actually sacked, or that language of, you know, having them resign and replace is just something that the government is doing. But beyond all of that conversation, let's talk about the morale of the troops, especially those in the front lines of battle. How do you think this would actually impact them, having new commanders in charge?
Well, I believe it's going to boost the morale of the fighting troops. Whether they resigned or they retired or they were asked to go or sacked, it's immaterial. One fact we must all appreciate, they have done their best for their fatherland. We must congratulate them. Congratulate the incoming service chiefs too. And congratulate Nigerians, because the president seemed to have listened to the yearnings of the people. Whether this change of the service chiefs is going to bring the needed change is a different ballgame. But I can tell you that if we continue in the same environment, operating environment, there's not going to be any change. I'm not a pessimist, but I believe that since they have effected the change now, and they're expected to bring in new ideas, fresh ideas. They must come with their own fresh ideas to at least make a positive change.
Okay, before we, sorry to interrupt, before we even look at whatever change they might be capable of, the profile of the men, some people are questioning how did the president arrive at this decision to have these individuals as Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, Chief of Naval Staff. What do you think would have gotten him to that point where he said these are the right set of people?
Well, he must have looked at their records of service. There are yardstick under which he can make such appointments. Also look at the political leanings, because like it or not, we cannot shy away from it. When you rise up to this level, the appointments become political. So some political considerations must have been taken into place. Don't forget,
What sort of impact, if you're talking about bringing politics into how these people are appointed, the reason why I'm asking you this is because if you look at the new chief of army staff, this man was actually fired for non-performance when he was in charge of the theater, in charge of fighting Boko Haram in the northeast. And he's now in charge of the entire army.
That's not entirely correct, because I've read other versions too, that he failed to join in the fraud. If you read the stories.
It depends on who you're listening to.
No. It's open. It's open that he failed to join the fraud. Okay, if we are using that as a yardstick, that he failed to deliver, that's why he was fired. Why has the other service chiefs not resigned since? Because it was on their table. They were all in control. So they should have also...
Well, the official statement says he was actually relieved of his duties for lack of performance.
I don't want to go into the politics of military postings. Let them, they have their yardstick, they know. You know, even within the service, there are divides, political divides, whether you like it or not. And some of them feel like, that's what I said here, that it will boost the morale of the staff. Don't forget that at that particular time, we have seen virtual disloyalty, open disloyalty to the authorities, because their professional careers were being stunted. You are in charge of the services, your subordinates are retiring. There was no moral justification of them continuing to remain. But we must appreciate them. That's the point I'm also making, that they have contributed them.
Now, so if you were to assess now, you've been in service, you understand what internal security means to a nation, any nation, no matter how small or big. Do you think, when you look at the records of these individuals, do you think that these are the people that can create the change that we are expecting will happen in Nigeria?
Well, until they start work, but from what we've seen from the records so far in the public domain, they are all experienced, tested officers. From they are supposed to have wealth of experience, but at times experience in most of these cases do not matter, because when you come into office, you have some political pressures that will make you change as an ordinary person that you should have been. So there are a lot of considerations to put over, but the most important is that they must be given chance. They need the support of Nigerians, need the support of the troops. We cannot leave security in the hands of security agents alone. So we need to give them the support, volunteering information, giving them the necessary funds and operating environment by equipping them. And yeah, so
right.
I think, yeah.
But we still have to circle back to the fact that the president at one point or another had given the service chief marching orders, which a lot of the time they did not fulfill. But he left them in that position for some of them more than 5 years. So now let's talk about the underlying reason, looking at the underbelly now, reasons why you feel, watching the body language of the presidency and the way insecurity has gone in Nigeria in the past 5 years. What were the reasons that made the president decide to not just renew their tenure, but extend it even beyond what the military book says?
Well, we have overflogged this issue. The fact remains that the president appoints. Constitutionally, he appoints the service chiefs, and he is the person to assess them and relieve them at appropriate time that when he feels.
At his discretion,
at his
whenever
discretion,
it
yes.
suits
at
him.
His discretion, yes.
Okay, now that he's done this, and you said that until they start performing, we won't be in a position to judge whether they're going to be good news or not. But you've worked with DSS, you've worked with internal security. What are the feelers you're getting in terms of how this is likely to impact on our security?
I believe it's going to positively impact on our security with this change. You see, these are young men. Forget the positions they are occupying. They are tested, and we should give them the necessary support. They say new broom sweeps cleaner. So we expect that they should come with fresh ideas, fresh strategies to at least change the dynamics of what's been going on, change the narrative. You see, we have, in terms of priority, I think they should look at the Northeast, the insurgency in the Northeast, look at the Southwest. You know, there's a lot of challenge, there's tension going on. So if they continue to deliver, I think the tension will go down. For instance, I tell you, this is the issue of the bandits who are ravaging everywhere, causing problems. And I tell people, you must draw a distinction between the headers. The headers are not the people causing this problem. They are bandits that are becoming infamous.
Well, Mike Ejiofor, would have to say thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program. I will wait and see how they perform, really.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.